Right now, your child is probably more connected to strangers on the internet than they are to their own family sitting in the same room. And we've created an entire generation where this feels completely normal. Think about what just happened in your house today. Maybe your kid got a notification that pulled their attention away mid-conversation. A friend texted them something that made them laugh, but they didn't explain the joke. They saw something online that made them feel inadequate, but you didn't know about it. These moments happen dozens of times before lunch, and most parents have absolutely no idea how to navigate them. The thing is, parenting has always been about preparing your kids for the world they'll actually inherit. But that world has fundamentally changed, and the rulebook we inherited from our own parents? It's basically useless now. Your parents worried about you staying out too late. You're worrying about what your kid is seeing, who they're talking to, and whether they're developing a healthy relationship with technology that didn't exist when you were growing up. Here's what makes this even more complicated. You can't just say no to the internet. That's like your parents saying no to electricity. The connected world isn't something your kids can opt out of anymore. It's woven into their education, their friendships, their sense of identity, and their future career prospects. So the actual challenge isn't keeping them offline. It's teaching them how to be safe, sane, and genuinely themselves in a space that's designed to be addictive and sometimes hostile. Most parents are operating on pure instinct right now. You're making decisions about screen time, about which apps to allow, about how much you should monitor your kids' online activity, all based on what feels right in the moment. But feelings aren't enough anymore. The stakes are too high. Your decisions today are shaping how your kid will relate to technology for the rest of their life. Let's start with something that might surprise you. The average teenager now spends about 7 to 9 hours a day consuming digital media. That's almost half their waking hours. But here's what's wild, most of that isn't active use. It's passive scrolling, background streaming, notifications constantly arriving. Their brain is being bathed in dopamine hits from algorithms designed by some of the smartest engineers on Earth, whose entire job is to make sure your kid stays engaged. It's not a fair fight, and parents are caught in the middle of this. You can see it's a problem, but you also remember your own childhood and how important it felt to have independence and to figure things out. So there's this constant tension between protection and freedom, between trust and vigilance. Too strict, and your kid resents you and finds ways around your rules anyway. Too permissive, and you're watching them navigate serious risks without adequate guidance. The challenge gets even more complex when you realize that technology is different for every kid. Your 12-year-old might be responsible with their phone, while your 15-year-old struggles with impulse control. One child might use social media to find community and belong, which is genuinely healthy, while another uses it as a tool for comparison and self-harm. There's no one-size-fits-all approach because every kid has different vulnerabilities, different strengths, and different developmental needs. Now, one of the biggest shifts in modern parenting is understanding that connection isn't bad. Your kid isn't broken because they want to stay in touch with their friends online. That's actually developmentally appropriate. During adolescence, peers become incredibly important, more important than parents, if we're being honest. So the fact that your teenager cares about their online friendships isn't something to fight against. It's something to understand and help them navigate safely. The real problem emerges when connection becomes replacement. When online interaction starts substituting for face-to-face relationships. When your kid is communicating with friends, but feels more alone than ever. When they're documenting their life for an audience instead of actually living it. Those are the warning signs that something has tipped too far in one direction. If you're interested in understanding how this actually plays out in real families and what strategies are actually working, this is probably the kind of channel worth following. We're going to keep breaking down these complicated parenting issues in a way that acknowledges how genuinely difficult it is to raise kids in this environment. Subscribe if you want to stay in the loop, because honestly, the landscape is changing so fast that advice from even a few years ago is starting to feel outdated. Let's talk about something specific that keeps parents up at night: social media and mental health. There's this overwhelming sense that social media is making our kids anxious and depressed, and there's real research to back some of that up. But it's not quite as simple as social media equals depression. The connection is more nuanced. Social media can be a tool for connection and creativity and activism and learning. It can also be a tool for comparison, bullying, and self-harm. The difference often comes down to how the individual kid uses it and what support systems are in place. Here's what research is starting to show. Kids who use social media actively, creating content, having real conversations, seem to do better than kids who mainly scroll and consume. Kids who have strong friendships offline tend to be less vulnerable to the negative effects of online comparison. Kids whose parents are involved but not invasive tend to be more honest about their struggles and more willing to ask for help. So it's not that we need to eliminate technology. It's that we need to build a whole ecosystem around it that supports healthy development. One thing that catches a lot of modern parents off guard is how permanent the internet is. Your kid might post something they think is funny or edgy or whatever, and they assume it will disappear. But screenshots exist. The internet has a memory. And colleges and employers are absolutely looking at digital footprints. So part of your job as a parent now is helping your kids understand that the internet isn't consequence-free. It's not about scaring them into paralysis. That doesn't work anyway. It's about helping them develop judgment about what's worth sharing and what they should keep private. This actually connects to a bigger conversation about identity. When you were growing up, you probably had one identity. You were one person at school, one person at home, one person with your close friends. But now your kid might have a TikTok presence, an Instagram persona, a private Discord server with friends, a gaming profile, a Reddit account. They're managing multiple identities across different platforms, each with different audiences and different expectations. That's cognitively exhausting. It's also developmentally interesting because they're experimenting with different versions of themselves, which is actually a normal part of figuring out who you are. But it can also lead to fragmentation and confusion about which version is the real one. Most parents completely miss this part. You're focused on screen time or online safety, but your kid is actually engaged in something way more complex: identity formation across multiple platforms. Understanding that can shift how you have conversations with them. Instead of just worrying about how long they're on TikTok, you might ask them what they like about the content they create there, or why they present themselves differently on different platforms. Those conversations are way more useful than a lecture about addiction. Let's also address the elephant in the room: the fact that you, as a parent, are probably also struggling with technology. It's easy to blame your kid for being too online when you're checking your phone 40 times an hour. Modeling healthy technology use is probably one of the most underrated parenting strategies right now. Not perfect technology use, none of us can do that. But conscious use. Being present when you're with your family. Using your phone as a tool rather than letting it use you. Your kids notice this way more than they notice your rules. One of the most practical things you can do is establish some family agreements around technology. But here's the key: these have to be agreements, not rules imposed from above. If you just agree that there's no phones at dinner, your teenager feels like you don't understand their world and you're being controlling. But if you involve them in creating guidelines that work for everyone, including you, they're way more likely to actually follow through. Plus, you might learn something about why they're so attached to their devices. Maybe it's genuine connection. Maybe it's anxiety they're managing. Maybe it's just the dopamine hit. Understanding the motivation is half the battle. The topic of privacy is where a lot of modern parenting gets messy. How much should you monitor your kids' online activity? Should you know their passwords? Should you follow them on social media? There's legitimate disagreement here, even among experts. On one hand, you have a responsibility to keep your child safe from predators and cyberbullying and other serious harms. On the other hand, adolescent development requires increasing autonomy and privacy. Finding the balance is genuinely difficult. What seems to work best for most families is transparency rather than surveillance. You're not secretly reading their messages, but you're having open conversations about who they're talking to and what they're doing online. You're following them on social media, not to spy, but so you're in their world and you can notice if something seems off. You might not know every detail of their online life, but you know enough to step in if there's a real problem. This requires trust, though. And trust has to be earned on both sides. Here's something that might reframe how you think about online dangers. Yes, there are predators and scams and inappropriate content. Those are real risks. But statistically, your kid is way more likely to be harmed by someone they know offline than by a stranger online. They're way more likely to develop an unhealthy relationship with technology than to be abducted by someone they met on the internet. I'm not saying online dangers aren't real. They absolutely are. But proportionality matters when you're making parenting decisions. You don't want to create so much fear and restriction around the internet that your kid feels like they can't come to you with problems because they're terrified of getting in trouble. This is actually related to crisis management. If something bad happens, your kid sees explicit content, they get bullied, someone inappropriate contacts them, they experience something traumatic online, the worst thing you can do is immediately punish them or make them feel ashamed. That guarantees they won't tell you about the next incident. Instead, your job is to stay calm, figure out what happened, and work together on a response. This is where all those years of being available and non-judgmental actually pay off. One thing that's emerged in recent years is the issue of social comparison and body image, especially among teenage girls. Instagram isn't real. TikTok isn't real. But when your brain is still developing and you're surrounded by filtered, edited, curated versions of other people's lives, it's hard to remember that. You start to believe that everyone else is prettier, thinner, more successful, happier. And if you're not, something is wrong with you. Parents have a role to play here too. You can help your kid develop media literacy so they understand what they're seeing is a construction, not reality. You can help them curate their feeds toward content that's actually nourishing instead of depleting. You can model what it looks like to appreciate your own body and not constantly critique it. The college and career piece is something that's sneaking up on a lot of parents right now. Digital literacy isn't just about staying safe on the internet. It's actually a fundamental life skill now. Your kid needs to understand how to use technology effectively, how to protect their own data, how to evaluate sources online, how to communicate digitally in professional settings. Some of this will happen naturally as they spend time online, but some of it needs to be taught explicitly. And honestly, a lot of parents are behind the curve on this because we didn't grow up with this stuff. What's also becoming clear is that knowing how to disconnect is its own valuable skill. Your kid needs to know how to be bored without reaching for their phone. They need to know how to sit with their own thoughts and feelings. They need to experience face-to-face connection and understand why it's different and often better than online connection. These aren't things you can teach through lectures. You have to create the conditions where these experiences can happen. Family time where screens are genuinely away. Activities that are naturally engaging. Friendships that are cultivated in person. The anxiety piece is real too. A lot of kids are experiencing increased anxiety because of social media, but also because of the world they're inheriting. There's climate change, political polarization, economic uncertainty. The internet makes them hyper-aware of all of this. They can see bad news from anywhere in the world in real time. They can watch catastrophes unfold on their phones. And there's a sense that they're supposed to care about and respond to everything, all the time. Part of your job as a parent is helping them develop resilience and perspective, not dismissing their concerns. Those concerns are often legitimate, but helping them remember that they don't have to carry the weight of the entire world. Here's what I've noticed about parents who seem to be navigating this most successfully. They're not trying to control the technology. They're trying to raise kids who can make good decisions about technology. That's a fundamentally different approach. It means having ongoing conversations instead of laying down the law. It means being curious about your kids' online world instead of assuming the worst. It means modeling the behavior you want to see. It means being willing to revise your approach as circumstances change and your kid develops. The other thing these parents do is they stay informed without obsessing. They understand how the platforms work, what the risks are, what features are available. But they don't read every article or watch every news story about the latest social media panic. Because there's always a panic. And most of it is overwrought. Understanding the actual research and actual risks is way more useful than getting caught up in generalized fear. As we move further into a more connected world, the parents who will be most successful are probably the ones who view technology as neither all good nor all bad. It's a tool. Like any tool, it has potential for harm and potential for benefit. Your job is to help your kid become someone who uses that tool wisely. And that's an ongoing conversation that will change as they grow and as technology evolves. Have you thought about what specific concerns you have about your kid and technology? What's actually keeping you up at night? Because that's probably where to focus your energy first. Share your thoughts in the comments. I'm genuinely curious what challenges parents are facing right now.